In a new turn of events, PSA upgraded 52 cards, 52 grades in a 105 card order after the submitter asked them to re-review them. And all of these PSA issues that have come up in the past week or two are completely self-inflicted by PSA. Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. So last week, was it last week, I guess? It feels like weeks and weeks ago. Preston, over on Twitter, told a story about how he had some cards, and just a quick recap here. He had some cards that were graded 9s, and he received offers on them at 9 values, and he sold them through the PSA offers program. And remember, just a friendly reminder, PSA is not buying these. They are simply brokering sales with their trusted partners. And then he went back into the order. He noticed that some of those 9s that he already sold back were now regraded as 10s and presumably worth much more than he received in the order. That video has 25,000 views. It's my second highest viewed video of the year, published this year. And a lot of Instagram, I mean, it's huge in the Pokemon community. A lot of Instagrammers have done it. It's getting millions of views all over the place. Not my video, but just the story itself. PSA has not addressed it yet. Nat Turner did address it a little bit in replying to some random person on Twitter, which he does sometimes, which is very odd. Like, I'll reach out to him for comment on something really important and he'll ignore me. And then when somebody completely random with 17 followers on Twitter asks him about it, he'll send a long response. And he acknowledged that they made a mistake and that they're working to fix it and closing the gap in terms of technology. But in this tweet that he posted, he also acknowledged that sometimes they authenticate counterfeit cards, which is a very strange way to explain that this happened. I mean, I know that they authenticate counterfeit cards. It happens. I think every card grading company would. But to say, yes, we did this, and then to also say, we also authenticate counterfeit cards is such a weird thing to do. And now, over on Blowout forums, somebody posted a long missive, I guess, saying he's ready to talk about PSA. Because last year, I think, if I understand this correctly, and I'm not going to have you read the whole thing is not important. But the part that is important is where he says that he sent a 105 card order to PSA, and only 6 of them came back 10s. And he was upset about it, and he reached out to them. And Ryan Hogue actually worked with him on it, and they ended up upgrading 52 out of the 99 cards that came back 9 or lower. So it was a 105 card order. 6 came back 10s, 99 came back 9s or lower. He complained to PSA. I don't know if he complained. He asked them what happened. I'm using my own word there for complain. They went back in and re-reviewed his entire order, and of the 99 9s or lower, 52 of them were upgraded. That is greater than a 50% error rate. And on my podcast on Sports Card Clubhouse last week, Jeremy Lee, or I guess it was this week, Jeremy Lee talked about the error rate being 36 or 37% on the first one from last week. And now this one is a greater than 50% error rate. So there's a lot of stuff with PSA this week. It's all self-imposed. The last couple of weeks, PSA, in my opinion, is seeing a severe degradation in their public relations, let's say. It used to be, and I talked about this, so I'm sorry to repeat myself. It used to be that I would post something, I would say something negative about PSA, and the comments were pretty overwhelmingly pro PSA. I've received over 600 comments, I think, on the video last week, and there's maybe one that is pro PSA. On Twitter, it's a little bit more pro PSA, but a lot of that is also the GameStop people that don't want PSA or Nat Turner or anybody like that to be seen as negative because they want GameStop stock to keep going up. GameStop's very successful. They look great right now. So I posted about it in my newsletter. Nat's response was pretty wild, acknowledging that they made this mistake, which is good, but then also saying, yeah, we made this mistake. We also authenticate counterfeit cards. There is no official PSA response to this. Jeff Wilson came out and said, Well, I'll put the tweet up here. Do you really think that a billion-dollar company would do something stupid like this? Well, yeah. I mean, this is what companies do. They get greedy. And several people said, "Have you ever heard of Enron?" Yeah, it's crazy to think that a company wouldn't. Now, I don't think that they did in the Nine case, but the problem for me is that they will just willy-nilly re-review orders and upgrade them, like saying, "Well, we made 50% error rate on this order." How is that a thing? How is that acceptable that when you send your cards to PSA, not only can you ask them to re-review them after, but they will, and not stand by their original grades, but then they will fix 35 to 50% of the grades upwards. Not a single one, by the way, in this order from the Blow Up Forums post, not a single card had the grade downgraded. And when they're reviewing the grades, re-reviewing the grades, and 52 are coming back higher, not a single one lower. You tell me what you think about that. So Jeff posted his tweet, "Do you really think they would do this?" And he got ratioed, as the kids say on Twitter. And then the next day, the very next day, 24 hours later, he announced that, or PSA announced, that they are opening up a new submission center inside of Cards HQ. So PSAs is a golden goose for many reasons. Understandable, if you're a business person. But the reason that he had to say this is because a lot of sports card shops, we have 3 examples that are public now that we know about that have gone out there, where the sports card shops, card shops, I should say, they might be trading cards too, are stopping all submissions to PSA, group submissions. And yes, as Neo pointed out very smartly, 2 of these companies are not PSA authorized dealers. One of them is. One of these companies also mentioned cleaning in their announcement. They have since come out and clarified that all they mean by cleaning is the same thing that PSA said in a poll like a year ago. I talked about this poll where they talked about cleaning, and I think they then changed the language in the poll to clarify to mean wipe down service, and this LCS clarified, yes, all we mean is a wipe down service where they're wiping fingerprints off, which is what we used to call cleaning, but now cleaning is more like Kurt's Card Care, or it's associated with that. And so I'm left here thinking that we're seeing a lot of people are saying they're moving to CGC. I'm going to send an order off to CGC probably in late December, early January, I'm guessing, if I have the time. I stopped grading with PSA 9 months ago. I will not do it. I can't imagine something drastic would have to change with them for me to consider grading with them again. A lot of people are saying that they're moving to CGC. Some people are saying they're moving to Beckett. It'll be interesting to see if this shows up in the numbers in January for December and in February for January. It's difficult for me to see this thing being the thing that tips things in favor of Beckett or CGC. We'll see. They had the whole backyard breaks drama back in April, and nothing changed. In fact, they got bigger and better, not better in a good way, but bigger, stronger, and more powerful after that. But at some point, there are a lot of chipping away at things, and eventually one chip makes things crumble. And that chip might be smaller than all the other chips behind it, but that one chip could be the tipping point. Will it be? Probably not. But I'll be watching their volume very closely. And remember, you're probably not going to see a difference in their December volume, if we do see a difference at all, because all the cards that they're going to grade in December came in November or even October or earlier. You probably won't see a change at all until February or March, is my guess. So we just need to keep the pressure on. And I don't care. I don't care about PSA going out of business. That doesn't have, all I want to see is change, improvement for the hobby. And I want to point to John Mangini, because he has been screaming for years that it's all, I don't know if it's all a scam. I don't know if that's Mangini's actual language, but a lot of people have been saying it's a scam. Mangini, though, is very vocal about it, and I appreciate, and I always did, but now I really appreciate his perspective on this. Don't get your cards graded. I'm sending mostly autographed cards. I will get some cards graded when I think that I would like them to be graded. If you want to get your cards graded, fine. That doesn't bother me. If you want to use PSA, that doesn't bother me either. Your opinion is your opinion. But I am keeping more and more cards raw than ever before. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think. This is, again, all self-inflicted by PSA. Everything that they've done has been just poorly thought out. No responses from them. Of course, they went through the backyard breaks drama in April with no response, and they came out perfectly clean. All right, guys. Hope you have a great Wednesday. I will see you all soon.